So we'll move on to the next topic, that is the third topic. So in the second topic we talked about the usual atmosphere at school, where Franz said there were usually lots of commotions and noise and disturbances, and he would usually take advantage of that commotion and disturbance in the school to get inside the class and sit on his seat. Okay, so from that we'll move on to the next topic, the third topic. Franz notices many unusual things at school. So on that particular day when he got to the school, he noticed many unusual things, strange things at the school. So what are those unusual things or strange things that Franz noticed at school? That is what we are going to learn under this topic. Okay, so if you look at this classroom scene, the most prominent scene is the teacher, Hamel, who is sitting in the middle of his students. So we will look at him. And do you notice any particular thing about him? So after Franz calmed down, he noticed that Hamel was wearing a special attire, that means clothes. So in the previous topic we said Franz was expecting a great scolding from his teacher because he was late for the school, and on that particular day he was not able to take the advantage of the commotion as the school was very calm and silent. But one strange thing, surprising thing that completely shocked him was his teacher, Hamel, was very kind to him. He spoke to him gently and kindly and did not scold him, and asked Franz to come inside and sit at his seat. That is what happened in the previous topic. So here, after he calmed down, after Franz calmed down, again another thing that he observed about his teacher is his attire or his dress on that particular day. Okay, so M. Hamel was wearing a special attire, okay, clothes. And what was that cloth or dress? So it was his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap, all embroidered, which he wore only on special occasions. So this is what he observed. This is a very special dress for Hamel, his teacher, and he used to wear this dress only on special occasions. Okay, so sometimes you are asked to describe his dress in the exams. In that case, you should keep in mind that his dress or attire consists of a beautiful green coat and a frilled shirt and the little black silk cap which you can see on his hat, and all of them were embroidered, okay, stitched, and this was a special dress that he wore only on special occasions, like on Sundays when he goes to church, or a New Year Eve or New Year, something like that, he would wear it. But on that particular day, he was wearing it to the class. So this is what Franz observed about his teacher. He was dressed in his best clothes. Now, you might be wondering, why is he dressed like that? Okay, like Franz. Okay, the whole school was strange and a seriousness prevailed in the atmosphere. Okay, so another strange or unusual thing was the school itself looked very strange, and there was a kind of seriousness about the whole atmosphere. Okay, and what surprised and confused him the most was to see the village people sitting quietly on the back benches. Okay. So the second thing that he observed about that particular day in his classroom was another surprising thing, and that was he saw the villagers have also come to his class, and they were sitting at the back side of the class, which was also very unusual. Usually the villagers would never come to the school, but he saw the villagers sitting at the back, and this was the second surprising thing that he observed inside his classroom. So they all looked very sad. So when he looked at the people sitting, the village people sitting at the back of the class, he observed they were very sad. They looked very sad and serious. So now you might be also wondering that what had happened to make all these changes in the classroom. So a kind of suspense is building up in the readers. Okay, so we will move on to the next topic to study about that suspense. Okay, to know more about that suspense, we will move on to the next topic, and that is the order from Berlin. Okay, so there is an order from Berlin, the capital of Germany, which had occupied France at that time. Okay, so if you look at this picture, Himmel says, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you." So Himmel announced that particular day was his last day at the school, or that lesson was going to be his last lesson in his school. So Himmel, M. Himmel, sat on his chair and told the class that it was their last French lesson. Okay, so you might be again wondering, why is it his last lesson? And particularly, why was it that it was the last lesson in French language in that school in Alsace? Okay, so the suspense is again, you can say, dissolving. So he says, the order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, right? So he announced that an order had come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, and he would be leaving the school the next day. So that is the reason why it happened to be the last lesson in French in that particular day. And it would be Himmel's last day in the school. Why? The Germans who had occupied France had released an order. And what did the order say? That French language will not be taught in any of the schools in the occupied districts of Alsace and Lorraine. Okay? The French language will be replaced by the teaching of German. Okay? So what is the implication of this on the occupied nation? The implication is that the people are no longer going to learn their own language, and the Germans are trying to show their language chauvinism by saying that their language is better than French, and the French people need to learn German, like it is still happening in Tibet, where the Tibetans were being forced by the Chinese to learn Mandarin Chinese. Okay, so that is again a political agenda where the country that occupies another country try to slowly and strategically try to remove the whole identity, destroy the whole identity of the subjugated people. And the first identity of any nation, any people, is the language. So that is what Germany is trying to do by passing this order where the French living in the occupied districts of Alsace and Lorraine will no longer learn their own language but learn German. Okay, and he also informed his students that they will be going to get a new teacher. Usually young children are excited about new things. Do you think they were excited about getting a new teacher at that time? We are also going to learn about that. Okay. Now, who do you think is going to be that teacher, and what will be he teaching? So it is quite now clear that the new teacher will be a German. It's not going to be a French, and he will be teaching German language. Okay. So he requested his students to be attentive that day, as it would be their last lesson in French. Again, here M. Hamel displays his sense of patriotism by requesting his students to be attentive on that particular day, because that particular day was going to be the last lesson in their own mother tongue language, French. So that is what he requests his students. And what do you think will be the responses of his students? Okay, these words were a shock to little Franz. Okay, this completely shocked him. That means he never had imagined that they were going to learn a foreign language in their own country, and they will be taught by a foreign teacher. And the thought of losing their teacher with whom they have been for so many years actually did not go down well with him. So because of that, he was shocked. He had never imagined that they would be parting away so soon. Now he remembered the gathering at the town hall. Okay, so when his teacher made this announcement, now he thought back and he remembered about the crowd that had gathered at the town hall in front of that bulletin and reading something. Now he realized what was written on the notice board or the bulletin board. What was the order or notice about? Now he knew that these people were reading that notice on the bulletin board, and he also now realized the meaning of the blacksmith Webster's telling him that he had plenty of time to reach school. Actually, Webster was serious when he said that. He meant that now he does not need to rush, as he won't be learning French any longer. Okay, so Franz was totally shocked by the sudden turn of events. The events turned so suddenly. It was very sudden, and it completely shocked. And at the same time, he had a realization. And what was that realization? That he had lost the precious time of learning his own language. Okay, so he regretted not having learned his lessons when there was still time. So this is again same for all of us. People all over the world do not realize the value, the worth of something when they have that thing with them. But as soon as we lose that, then only we realize the importance, the value, and the worth of that thing. The same happened. Okay, when Franz had the time to learn his language, study well in his school, when he had the opportunity, he never realized the importance and neglected it. Actually, he disliked learning French. He hated his teacher. But now, when he was losing the opportunity, he realized that he had lost a great opportunity, and he regretted it. Okay, so one lesson that we learn from here is, if we do everything seriously, if we use the present seriously, then we will be leaving very small room for regret. In the future, we will not have to regret. So that is what this teaches us, a very strong message that whatever the present opportunities that we have, we need to use them at the utmost, okay, for the best of our ability, so that we do not need to regret. So regret is a feeling that is not at all pleasant. It's a very unpleasant feeling. So we need to use the present situation wisely. So this is what we get from Franz. He also started regretting. Okay, why did he regret? Now he will never be able to learn them. Okay, so he will now be never able to learn these lessons. He had wasted his precious time away from the class in useless activities like seeking birds, eggs, going sliding on the Saar River, and so on. So these are few examples of useless activities that we engage in instead of doing useful things. Okay, so when he had the opportunity, actually he needed to go to the school, show interest in his learnings, education, and try to develop himself. But number of times he had wasted these precious time by running away from school, going egg-seeking in the bushes, and going to the river Saar and sliding on its beaches. Sites, river sites. So that is how he had wasted his time. And now he started regretting all those useless activities. So because of those useless activities, he was not able to learn his language well. And he also had felt the books or the bag in which he carried his books were very heavy at that time. Okay? But now he thought that his books, which were nuisance to him, certainly felt like old friends. Okay? So this is a simile. The books have been compared to old friends. Okay? So at that time, he felt his books were nuisance. Nuisance means troublesome. They caused him so much trouble. Now all of a sudden, he felt a great closeness to his books. And when he thought about his books, he felt as if they were true, close friends. And he was now going to lose all those friends. His feelings for his teacher too started changing. Okay? So after thinking about the announcement or the order from Berlin, his feeling towards his teacher too started changing. How? Earlier, he had thought that Hamel was quite cranky. So here it's written, the thought that Hamel was going away and Franz would never see him again made him forget all about how cranky Hamel was. So this is his feelings towards Hamel in the past. Like he thought his books were nuisance. He thought Hamel was cranky. Cranky means short-tempered. That Hamel would lose his temper very easily. That was what he thought about. But now the feeling, the thought that he had previously also started changing when he learned that Hamel was going away and they would never meet each other. And now he thought that Hamel was actually not cranky, not short-tempered. Okay? Maybe he realized that Hamel lost his temper all because of their behaviors, their activities, or their actions. So Franz was feeling very sorry for him. Now he was feeling sorry for his teacher. Okay? Because he realized that it was not that Hamel was cranky or short-tempered. He lost his temper all because of their behavior, because they have behaved very irresponsibly and never learned their lessons. They were very disobedient. So because of that, he lost his temper. So all these realizations came to our young protagonist, Franz. And that is why in the beginning, when we did that character study, we said Franz was a very sensitive boy. So all these indicate to his sensitivity. He is sensitive enough to realize all these. Okay, so another thing that he realized is it was in honor of his last lesson that he had put on his fine clothes. Now he realized why Himmel was dressed in his best attire. Okay, so Franz realized that his teacher was dressed in his best attire because he wanted to honor his last lesson. Okay, honor means respect, to pay respect for his last lesson in French that he was going to take in the class. He had put on his best clothes. And another thing that he realized was why the village people had come to his school. And the village people had gathered there to express their gratitude towards him, Himmel, and to show their respect for their country and their language. Okay, so these are the two reasons why the village people have gathered at his school. First, they have gathered there, come there to express their gratitude towards Himmel. Okay, why? Because Himmel had spent 40 long years in the school teaching their own language. So that is a great contribution from a single person. Okay, and the French people have come to express their gratitude towards him for serving them and for serving their identity, that is the language. And they also wanted to show respect for their country, showing patriotism. Okay, they are very patriotic and they wanted to show their love for their nation and their love for their language by coming to the class and attend their last lesson with their children. Okay, next topic is Himmel blames himself and the people of Alsace. Okay, that is his district. While Franz was thinking of all this, he heard his name called out. It was his turn to recite. So Franz was lost in all these thoughts. He was thinking about all these things, why his teacher was dressed in his best dress, why these villagers have come on that particular day, and the scene that he had seen at the town hall, and how he had wasted all his precious times. All these thoughts were going on in his mind, and all of a sudden he heard his name being called out. And he realized that it was his time to recite the rules of the participles. So true to what he had announced the previous day, Himmel made his students recite the rules of the participles. And now it was Franz's turn to recite the rules. How do you think he was going to do that day? Okay, so we know that he did not know anything about the participles. Okay, and there's no magic other than learning to studying or learning to get to know the rules of a grammar. Okay, he would have given anything to be just able to say the rule loud and clearly. So on that particular day, he would do anything and give anything to recite, say the rules loud and clearly and confidently. He would have done anything, but we know he could not do anything now. Even giving anything is not going to help, going to be helpful. Why? As I said, there is no other magic other than to study, spend time, and he had never done that. So because of that, but unfortunately, he got mixed up on the first few words. Okay, so he was not able to recite the rules correctly. Even at the beginning itself, he got the words mixed up, which was sure to happen because he had never studied the previous night. Okay. So because of that, he was very ashamed and stood holding his desk. Okay, he felt very ashamed. He might not be frightened of Hemel, but he felt very ashamed, and to regain his strength, he held tightly to his desk, and maybe he was a bit scared of Hemel as well. Okay, but Hemel was very kind to him that day. Hemel said that he would not scold him. Why did he say that? Why didn't Hemel want to scold him? It is because Hemel himself had realized an important thing. Okay, he also had learned something that particular day. And what did he learn? What did he realize that particular day? Let's look at it. Okay, so he tells the class that the enemies, that means the Persians, would laugh at them and say that they're only sure to be Frenchmen, as they can neither speak or write their own language. He says that France should not feel guilty, as everyone is at fault. Okay, so that is what Hemel had realized. Hemel says that the Persians would laugh at the Frenchmen because they pretend to be Frenchmen, because truly they are not Frenchmen. Why? They don't give any importance to their own language. They cannot even speak their language well. So how can they say that they are Frenchmen? Same applies to any people living in occupied nations. Okay, so if they lose the identity of a language, if they lose their language, if they cannot speak their language, then it is only a pretense to say that they are a citizen of a particular nation. So this is what he is saying. Okay, so the Frenchmen have never paid any attention to learn their language, and they cannot speak their language well, and they cannot write well. They are not grammatically well versed in their own language. So because of that, the Persians or the Germans would laugh at them when they say they are Frenchmen. But here, Hemel tells Franz that he should not feel guilty. Why? Because he says everyone is at fault. The people are not able to speak their language, not able to write their language, and it is not the fault of an individual. He says it is a fault of everyone. And let us look how he says that. He criticized the people of Alsace for their habit of putting off learning for some time in the future. Okay, so this is again what happens in our life. When we have the opportunity, we tend to delay things, procrastinate things by saying, I'll do this later on. I'll do this in the afternoon. I'll do this tomorrow. And we keep on putting it away. And as we put away, there is loss of time. We are losing time to do many things. So he said this habit of people, which habit? The habit of procrastination of people is actually responsible for them not learning something in their life. So again, this is common for everybody. Everybody says this. What he is saying is we need to do everything now and in the present, because tomorrow or future is something that is very, very far away, or never comes into our life. And he blamed their parents for not taking interest in their studies. Yeah, so when it comes to the education of people, children, young children, parents also play a great role. Okay, parents also need to show interest in the students, their children's study, by giving them whatever guidance and help that they need. Proper guidance, proper help, with maybe consultation to their teachers as well. But he says the parents never did that. But instead of showing any interest in their children's study, what did the parents do? They wanted their children to work at a farm or a mill and earn some money. This is again happening in many families. Sometimes the parents would disturb their children's study routine by asking them to help with their family work, even when the school is in session. Okay? It is okay if the school is on a holiday, but if the school is in a session, the parents should never do that. But this is what the parents in France at that time would do, according to Hamel. So Hamel says it is the mistake of their parents, because, as I said, the parents have disturbed the study pattern of their children by engaging them in works to earn money. Then he blames himself for this. Okay? As a teacher, he also blames himself for this. Okay? Why? He often sent the students water his plants or gave them a holiday when he wanted to go to fishing, go fishing. Okay? So he blamed himself. Again, when they had the time, he never thought about giving much importance to the studies of his children. Whenever he wanted, he gave holidays to his children and went for fishing. And sometimes he would send his children to students to water his garden instead of teaching them lessons on French. So that means everyone in their society had actually neglected the study of French education, children's education. So he says it is the fault of not only the children but their parents as well as the educators. So this is what he realized and shared with his students and the villagers. Okay, so we'll stop here for a short while and you can go through these questions, try to answer these questions to revise what we have done so far, and then we will conclude in the next topic.